Hi, it's Samantha with Soap Essential, and today I'm going to talk to you about 4 particular chemicals that are really bad that are found in a lot of soaps, skin washes, personal care products, and skincare products. So first out the door, we're going to talk about sodium lauryl sulfate, right? Sometimes you'll see it as just, oops, can you see that? SLS on the label, sodium lauryl sulfate. It's a known surfactant and a detergent. So a surfactant in that it's sudsing, ability, and then a detergent in that it's a kind of a degreaser, right? Removes fat, oil, and grease. And SLS is found in a lot of common personal care products as well as cleaning products, including soaps. And sodium lauryl sulfate can increase skin sensitivity, and it can affect, it can affect your skin in a very negative way. It can, especially if you have even slightly eczema, or it can make you more prone to have eczema. And so people with sensitive skin should avoid SLS altogether. Now, interestingly, there's another product called sodium lauryl sulfate acetate, and sometimes you'll see it on a label as let me put it over here, SLSA. So it has that lowercase a. So SLS is bad, and SLA is good. Sodium lauryl sulfate acetate actually has very similar products to SLS, but it's considerably gentle and it doesn't have any of the negative impacts on skin like SLS does. And sometimes they're confused because they have very close names. Sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium lauryl sulfate acetate. Sulfate acetate is okay to use. SLS is also a common ingredient found in bath bombs because of its sudsing ability. So if you're a bath bomb user, look at your bath bombs. The next one I want to talk to you about is a compound called 1,4-dioxane. Right, there it is, 1,4-dioxane. And 1,4-dioxane is a known animal and human carcinogen. Research has shown that it easily penetrates the skin, and excessive exposure, it's linked with organ toxicity. And the worst part about this 1,4-dioxane is you're never going to see it on a label. And the reason is because it's really not an ingredient. What happens is when SLS is added to the mix of ingredients, the pot, if you will, and it reacts with some of the emulsifiers and the sudsing agents that are in there, 1,4-dioxane is created. And so the best way to avoid 1,4-dioxane is to avoid products that have SLS in it, because if it's got SLS, there's a good chance it's going to have 1,4-dioxane. The next ingredient I want to talk about is Triclosan, and you may have heard of Triclosan because it's a pesticide. It's an antifungal, antibacterial agent. And regarding skin, right, it's a known irritant to lungs, to eyes, and to skin. Now, Triclosan was actually banned from being added to soap in 2016 because of its known carcinogenic properties. However, for reasons no one in the world can understand, is still permitted for use in everyday products ranging from shampoos, deodorants, and toothpaste. And there's other ones in there, but those are your 3 common ones. So look at your shampoos, right? See if Triclosan is in there. And if it were me, I would look for something different and throw it out. The next chemical I want to talk about are parabens. And parabens are a class of preservatives that's used in bar soap, hand washes. It's used in a lot of cosmetic products. And it basically extends the shelf life of a product because it preserves the product and makes the product resistant to mold and bacteria. And that's what makes it so attractive. However, they know that parabens have a very negative impact on fertility and reproductive organs. And so it's the CDC actually did a whole bunch of research on parabens, and scientists found paraben derivatives in the urine of most of the people that they tested. But interestingly, women were significantly higher than men. Why do you think that is? Of our use, we have such a greater use than men in cosmetics and personal care products, because that stuff's just more important to women than it is to men. And so you want to avoid products with parabens in them. The next one I'm going to talk to you about is fragrances. And maybe 6 weeks ago, I wrote an article called Fragrances to Die For. I think it's on my blog. But the term fragrances refers to anything, refers to anything that is added to a product to alter its smell. So either you're going to alter its smell or you're going to cover up its smell, right? And sometimes there'll be dozens of fragrances just in one product because of, trying to get to a certain type of scent. And so unless you're shopping like in a natural store that only sells natural products, and even sometimes then, any product that you're going to pull off the shelf is going to almost always be made from synthetic chemicals, which then you're going to get a whole host of really bad things from that. And aside from soap, right, synthetic fragrances are in everything from household cleaning products to air fresheners to candles to incense to hand creams, face lotions, body lotions. I mean, it's in everything, even whiteboard markers. And the thing with synthetic chemicals is most of the ingredients that are in there are like petroleum based, and they're known to be detrimental to human health. And one of the big concerns about fragrances is the phthalates. It's PHTH is how it's spelled. PHTHAL, phthalates. And they are known endocrine disruptors. And the other fact is that there's several carcinogen products that are also found in fragrances. So you want to avoid things that have, especially if the scent is really strong, probably means they had to use a lot of it. And for people with sensitive skin, including children, it puts them at higher risk for developing allergic reactions to synthetic fragrance chemicals as they get older. So think about what we're exposing our children to, right? From the time that they're little, with their bath products, with maybe lotions or creams or balms that we're putting on their skin, because it smells good. Check those labels. The last thing I want to talk about is tallow in soap. And the reason I want to bring this up, and I've brought this up before, tallow, as you know, is beef fat, right? So there's beef tallow, sheep tallow, there's lard for pigs, goat's fat, and any kind of animal fat, right? And any kind of animal fat, and it can be used to make soap. Tallow is, and that's how they label it on your commercial soap boxes, right? It'll say tallow 8, and which is basically the salt form from the interaction of the lye with the fat. And tallow is, has, the reason tallow is desirable from a manufacturer's regard is a couple of reasons. One, it's, makes a really nice hard bar. It's a white bar. It has similar properties that palm oil brings to a soap bar, that it's, provides that hardness as well as a stable sort of creamy lather. But the big attraction is that it's cheap and it's plentiful. And I belong to a few soap groups, and I have to tell you, I've been really surprised to learn how many soap makers use tallow. I have to tell you, I was really surprised. And if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, using anything with tallow definitely conflicts with your decided lifestyle, right? I mean, because of what the beef industry is. And then if you're an environmentalist, it also impacts, use of tallow or animal fat type products kind of goes against your grain and how you live your lifestyle too. If you think about the ecological impact that the beef industry has on our environment. And it's well known that the beef industry is one of the top 5 industries in the world with the largest use of resources like water, and then the greatest negative impact to the environment. And so what was interesting for me is that if there's soap makers out there, small soap makers out there that are using tallow because it's cheap, it makes me pause and wonder, well, what else is being skimped on? Maybe it's nothing, but it begs the question. So what I would like for you to do is sort of a recap, is go and look at your ingredients in your skincare products, go look at your ingredients in your shampoos, in your deodorant, in your toothpaste, and see if any of these bad ingredients are in there. Now we know 1,4-dioxane is not going to be in there, but SLS, sodium lauryl sulphate, will be. So if SLS is in there, right, we want to avoid it. I hope you have enjoyed this information. I love sharing these kind of things with you, and I hope you have a tremendous and wonderful day. Thank you for being here.